the problem of the missile crisis and also some of the other difficulties over the period of the last 3 years. And I think to maybe make the suggestion to utilize some of those brains and talent to the maximum is helpful. And again, having watched it a little bit apart over the last 3 years, I think that to have those people involved and make sure that there is a full discussion about some of these things. Again, being quite frank about it, based on my 2 meetings at the National Security Council meeting, I thought that there was too much, which I said to Bob McNamara, that there was too much emphasis really on the military aspects of it. I would think that war will never be won militarily, but where it's going to be won really is a political war. And the best talent, of course, is over at the Pentagon, because you have Bob McNamara. But that same kind of talent really has to be applied to doing what needs to be done politically in that country. And whether it's setting up an organization for each one of those counties politically, and what steps have to be taken, that they're dropping a bomb someplace or sending more planes there if the people themselves aren't interested, as you point out frequently, but which I'm not sure that they concentrate on that sufficiently. I think that a real major effort in the political field, as is being made in the military field, because with military action obviously will have to be taken, but unless the political action is taken concurrently, in my judgment, I just don't think it can be successful.
I think that that's good thinking, and that's not any different from the way I have felt about it. We spent the whole afternoon yesterday with Lippman. I saw his column this morning.
Yes, I did.
Bob McNamara, George Ball, Bundy, and different ones. I agree with you on Dillon and the council too. The problem we've had there is very much what you referred to the first days I was in here, that you don't get too much when the president is present in the way of frankness and real adventure and imagination, and people are somewhat hesitant, as you said, to give their ideas. So I have been trying to stimulate and encourage political thinking and try to incite in them some adventure and some diplomatic adventure and some political programs. I've even gone so far as to say, let's take what we used to call old military government after the war, and if we have to take the whole mayor's conference and put them out there in these provinces and give them this civilian leadership. We're going to have a meeting early next week with the Lodge. Now, one of our basic problems there is the ambassador. He will not let anyone else do anything. When you say to him, we want to get out in the provinces, we want to put people out here, we want extra propaganda, we want extra USIA, we want extra radio programs, we want to tell them what we're going to do for them, what hope there is, what the future is for the average fellow. He said, I handle all that myself. He won't do it. He's asked for a new CIA man, and we gave him to him. He doesn't use him and won't show him the messages. We sent him a new chief of mission, one that he had asked for, one of the 2 or 3 that he asked for. He gave a list of names. They selected him. He got to where he won't talk to him now. It's a very serious problem, and almost you have to, every 3 or 4 weeks, get either Rusk or McNamara or somebody to go out and get agreement on 4 or 5 specific things, then go back and check a month later to see it.
Welcome to the Postgame patrons. Welcome to the new patrons that just became patrons. One love. Thank you so much.
We got our 666th, right?
Yeah, I believe that was. You guys are the best.
My favorite number.
Thank you so much. There's some symbolism there. I'm clean shaven. I look exactly like some type of like evil European lawyer who does represent some type of like pharma cartel. It's a front for Satan's new plan or something. It's some bad horror movie.
I feel triggered by your attack on my profession.
I just triggered a woman of color. Welcome to the Postgame. That's the premium content, baby. How are you doing, Bri?
I'm doing wonderfully.
Thank you for being here.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you for being crew.
It's an honor.
I know. No, you needed to be. When you came on last time, I remember thinking like, all right, she needs to join the rotation.
I am happy to be a part of this.
No, and you're right. Like, people need to read your writing.
Well, I don't know that I said that. I feel like you said that.
Well, right. That's the point.
I'm not disagreeing with you.
No, you're...
Bri, you're right. Everybody should love everything you do.
Bri, I thought that what you just said about how you were the most important intellectual under 35 in America was true from your perspective.
I feel triggered by your projection of narcissism.
Bri, I thought that what you said about how you would clean up everyone from Ta-Nehisi Coates to Noam Chomsky, and that they were all...
That was a private conversation.
That Angela Davis couldn't even walk in your shoes was true from your perspective. I won't actually repeat the stuff you said about Joy Reid.
Whatever, I tweet it. It's fine.
Say some, hit me with some joy. You know, somebody said something. No, T. You know, T. Rollins.
Mm-hmm.
I was hanging out with him yesterday, and he said that now I can start using his real name, but I don't like. He's gonna need to do that before I do that, right? But somehow Joy Reid came up, and he said something, and funnily enough, like I don't temperamentally, like I don't necessarily get that pissed off by people, like in that way. Like I don't do a lot of Twitter drama. I think like my pose is more like kind of like, whatever, you're a fucking moron.
You're too cool.
But, I didn't want to be the one to say it. But,
and your words are too cool.
I thought that what you said about how I was too cool was a beautiful thing to say, and I thank you. So, no, but I forget what it was, but he said something that Joy Reid said, and I was like, that woman is a fucking monster.
Yeah.
Like, lay into her,
She's
please.
a menace, and she's like, okay,
Yes.
so... There's this power out there that is identity politics.
Right.
And to be a black woman means that you are like the empress of identity politics if that's what you want. Like the world just like offers you complete carte blanche to have all the opinions and to never be criticized. Now, I'm conflicted about abdicating the throne because obviously it benefits me. But it's insane because as another black woman, it ends up being in this like insane clash where it's like the insanity of pretending that identity means you're always right is completely disrupted by the presence of someone who shares your identity and disagrees with you. So I'm constantly going up against Joy Reid because she has a habit of blocking everyone who disagrees with her, and particularly blocking all leftists of color.
Right.
And here I come, and for some reason, she has not blocked me yet, and she's blocked everybody else in my Twitter circle. And I'd like to think that it's because there's a sliver of a chance that I'll get to go one-on-one black woman-eo against her.
E pluribus blackum.
What would be your thought process if you got that call from like her producer saying, "Hey, you can come on this Sunday"? What would be the first things that run through your head?
What's my hair washing schedule?
Yeah, exactly. See, Matt, you clearly haven't spent as much time around black women as I have. I knew that would be the answer.
No, I mean, I would obviously go in a heartbeat.
Of course.
In a heartbeat.
Of course.
I have nothing to lose. I'm nobody.
Well, you're not nobody. I mean, and I'm not saying that just to be like, you're definitely not nobody. But I think it's a very unique position to be in. To be like, first of all, all of us who are building platforms based on direct relationships with the people that support us, it incentivizes a radically different sense of responsibility, in my view. And I think that we're quote unquote nobody in the sense of like the bullshit that people bring. Like, oh, I'm at MSNBC and I have to worry about this and I have to worry about that and I have to be quote unquote serious and I have to pretend to respect some, some general that orchestrated a torture camp, but now he's on to say that Trump is uncivil and I have to sit there with a profound face like this is an incredible thing that he's saying. But then at the same time, I think that no, like actually, like we are afforded platforms. We do have followings. People are watching and reading and listening. And that puts us in a very distinct position of like, you can't just like, even when people like that try to pull that rank kind of thing, it's like, no, like not in this media environment. I'm not saying it's the same thing. Like, of course, to have its Sunday show on cable is bigger, but it's not that many ticks off.
Yeah.
And also, like, that's a platform that's dying.
It's
and
true.
This is a platform that's growing. And we have a real responsibility to people that, I'm not suggesting, I don't know what it would be, but, like, I know that someone like Joy Reid has built up the trust and the prestige to have a network pay her a lot of money to be on. I don't know that the honor that I feel to have, 666, whatever the current, like.
You know the number, 666.
666. Well, hopefully it's gone up in the last couple of minutes. The honor that I feel to have people directly investing in me to provide them, like, and everybody who has that, right? Like that to me is a very different metric. And one that, at least for me, and honestly, outside of my own sort of self-interest, I'm much more interested in.
Yeah, I think that's right. I don't mean to minimize, the value of smaller platforms, and I certainly do see. I mean, already I'm working on an article right now for a more major publication. And the extent to which they're already kind of saying, all right, like I was literally told, I want you to think of the most kind of mundane way to characterize your thesis here and restructure the article so that that's up top. Like, just like bring it all down.
Yep, totally.
A notch. And I was like, oh, I guess I'll go back to current affairs. Because it's something to consider. Like, do you want the exposure of being in this publication balanced against, do you want to be able to say the thing that motivated you to write the article to begin with?
And I also think as we move into a media environment, and again, I'm not saying that, like, of course there's still things that are bigger than other things, obviously, but with, like, there are not these sort of like massive agreed upon media products anymore, right? Like everything is clipped. Audiences on cable are much smaller. People are watching all these premium channels, and you can run into a lot of people who, like, they personally curate, like, I like, like say they have something from HBO they watch, and then they listen to like a particular podcast and they read a particular author, and that may have nothing to do with, they could be equally big as fans of, like you and, I don't know, John Oliver, whatever, just picking like probably not him. But but you know what I mean? Like it's because, and so I think as that environment continues to evolve, and it's only going to go in that direction with all of the trends we see with downsizing and lower audiences and the internet and social media and all these cliches that are actually true, I think the kind of that type of like pulling rank, like it's always been obnoxious, but it starts to become even just actually like less and less credible. Because it's like, well, actually, because I really would be curious with some people. I really would be interested, like, if Joy Reid went off air, like, where would they be? I mean, some of these people become totally obscure.
Yeah. I mean, I will say that I think that Twitter is this weird democratizing force where, I mean, even if
Right.
she went off the air, she would still have however many hundreds of thousands of Twitter
course,
followers she has.
for sure.
And some degree of influence there,
course.
regardless.
Yeah.
But the flip side of that is there are people who are not Joy Reid and who don't have that platform who have also managed to garner hundreds of thousands of Twitter followers and who are able to go toe-to-toe with her in that form, which is kind of amazing.
Yeah.
And the ability the fact that I can even just sit here and say I have access to her and can fight her, even if only in the abstract virtual realm, is, you know, something. And all the people who kind of malign millennials and how all the technology is the end of our generation, that's a pretty significant oversight in my view.
Yeah, no, I think that's true. I want to touch back on this on sort of like white liberals and people like Joy Reid in a second. But first, let's take a few calls. You're calling from a 2666 area code. Who are you? Where are you calling from? You there? Plus, it must be some kind of international call. It's plus 266. Are you there?
Hey.
Hello?
Hello.
Yeah. Hey.
This is fucking Steven Seagal, bitch.
Okay.
I've been listening.
Yes.
It's not bad, but you've been talking about poutine, insisting he can post, and I just want to say that's ridiculous.
Right.
And do you like any of my movies?
Ooh.
Oh, that's a good question. I think
Yeah.
Briahna loves your movies. She's also very attracted to you.
Under Siege, we had it on Betamax, and we watched it to death. So you are a real feature of my childhood.
Oh, look, here's what is Steven Seagal doing here? He's we have you up on screen now, sir. He's dancing?
I am I'm handsome as fuck.
I'm handsome as
Well, the way you two seem to like some of my work, you might not be so dumb as you appear talking about politics.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So,
You know what? I like
I'll
the
give you a
reality
break.
show. I like the reality show you did where you were a police, like an honorary police chief in some little town in Louisiana. And I will say, Mr. Seagal, you were very woke in that show because you were very into like taking black people's sides all the time. And you did seem like you were very bad at, but I remember they like you go into these neighborhoods and then the camera they'd be like, "There goes Mr. Steven Seagal," and you'd be like, "We're just here to help you."
What's that panting about?
Because he was always out of breath. He was in you were in terrible shape in that show, Mr. Seagal. You were in horrible shape.
Hey, fuck you.
I think you look great with the extra pound, Stephen.
Ooh. Looks like somebody's triggered, Mr. Seagal. Thank you. That was, you know what? Can I just say, I'm sorry to step out of the moment, but that guy just hung up. And for future reference, some of you call in with like characters and you do an amazing job, but the pause and ending with, "Hey, fuck you," and hang up, beautiful. He just completely nailed that.
You got to know how to stick the landing if you really want to make a solid call.
Yes. Wise words.
Want to hear this?
Yeah, we do. This is more Stevens. No, he would be in this show in Louisiana, and it would be like he was clearly like very attentive to like not being seen as racist, and like all of these like redneck cops who were like following him around and were like, "Well, yeah, we're gonna learn how to use our chi to shoot a gun today with Mr. Seagal," you know, and then they'd go into like and then like some guy would be like, "I got my license in the other car, man." He's like, "I believe you."
The panting, man. The panting.
I believe you. What the hell?
I believe in free
Oh, this
speech.
is
I believe
Steven
that
Seagal.
Everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but I don't agree that they should hold the United States of America or the world hostage by taking a venue where people are tuning in to watch a football game and, imposing their political views. I think it's outrageous. I think it's a joke. It's disgusting.
He is literally.
For anyone to think that Vladimir Putin had anything to do with fixing the elections, or even that the Russians have that kind of technology, is stupid.
Oh wow, he totally dissed Russia right there.
A great pleasure and honour to have a movie star of your stature.
Literal stature.
Of course, fucking every segment has to end with Piers Morgan being a fucking asshole. That is like, I don't go in on the Russia stuff, but that is pretty fucking ballsy to be sitting here being like, I don't understand how you can insult our flag. Vladimir Putin's amazing. I have citizenship here.
The question I have watching this clip is,
Can I have a beer, guys?
Is this cultural appropriation?
Of
I'm
Russia?
seeing this like Mandarin collar little outfit he's got going
Oh,
on.
totally.
He's not culturally appropriating. He's a reincarnated Tibetan Lama. What the fuck is your problem?
Much like Tilda Swinton.
I heard an interview of him. He
Exactly.
he appeared in studio with Russell Brand in like 2008 when I listened to that radio show, and he was all about Tibet and like Tai Chi. Right. But also I think he had
definitely looks like he's moved from martial arts to Tai Chi.
He's also, I think, had hair plugs.
You think?
Yeah, I think so. I don't even know about that. Or maybe when he's talking about Russia not having technology, that's what he's referring to. He went to some fucking clinic there. Like, here is your roll of corn roll. He's like, fuck. Should have done that.
He's also got he's also a blues performer.
Also a blues
he has a song called like Alligator Ass. I'll try to pull
More
that up.
appropriation?
Yeah, more. Yo, Steven Seagal is a piece of garbage.
Under siege, though.
As
Under
I
Siege
always
is
say,
great.
white people are trash. And I really actually do say that.
Oh, I thought you were gonna do one of those, as you always say.
Oh no, I'll own that one. Oh yeah, as Bree says, white people are Yakubian trash, grafted from pigs. Just like Bree said. Oh my God. Oh, we're really in deep in Steven Seagal now.
Look at that font.
This is called Alligator Ass.
Oh, this is so awesome. He's not even singing. It's great. You always said he was like.
It could be worse.
Yeah, there it is.
It could be worse.
Wait, is he playing instruments?
He plays guitar.
If he's playing, you know what? We might have just found the thing that he is most actually talented at right there.
That and ponytail growing.
I do a good job with that.
Ponytail construction.
Ponytail construction is a little bit behind the times in Russia. All right. Jesus Christ, I can't take it. Not really let that ride. I was like, you don't want to hear.
It's a Steven Seagal song called Alligator Ass. I mean,
I wish, you know what would be great if you throw that like a Genius. See do like a lyric translator, and there would be like nothing. It would just be like.
Well, the theme of the song, if you want to know, is he goes to a diner in the South, and
of course I do.
He goes to a diner and he's like had a rough, go of it, and she's like, "You wanted this, and all they gave you is," the diner lady said, "and all they gave you is alligator ass." So it's a kind of deep, folksy metaphor for Seagal.
Right, like he was probably trying to like go up for like a Bruce Willis film, trying to make like a crossover, and they gave him alligator ass. He went for hair plugs in Donetsk, and it looks like he got it out of a bottle, so he got alligator ass. Yeah.
And Bruce did it without hair, adding insult to injury.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of insult to injury if you're Steven Seagal. I mean, there
Also,
are...
sorry, he does Aikido, not Tai Chi.
Oh, apologies.
Oh,
Just to issue a correction.
I think you need to get your facts straight. It's like, there's Mr. Steven Seagal. We're here to help. That was such an awesome show.
Probably works better than police.
That was such, yeah, no, it probably does. There are probably significantly less fatalities of black people when Steven Seagal and a film crew is out.
It's true.
We're not going to kill the black people today. Oh, Mr. Seagal, sir. You going to teach us how to use that Tai Chi to shoot with a blindfold? Yes. But first, we're going to help this black family.
Did I hear that show ended in some kind of a catastrophic, problematic way? Like he had his own criminal charges. Didn't something go down really?
I raped a girl, but it was in another part of the state. Totally unfair.
His own warrants kept coming up on the cop reader.
Mr. Seagal, we'd love to go out with you on a ride, but it seems that you committed another felony, sir. You still think you could teach us how to shoot a gun backwards before we got to arrest you?
Oh, I guess in 2010, this is a headline. Steven Seagal kept woman as captive, sex toy, in Lafitte lawsuit. So,
Yeah.
let's take some calls.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. I'm busy. I can't do a shooting lesson. I got to get back to Lafitte. Isn't it the last thing I'll say is, like, isn't it amazing, like, just, like, I don't know, like, the guy is such a fucking monster. Like, it's not enough to be like, hey, it was this goofy 80s action guy, and maybe he's kind of a prick. But the more you go into it, you're like, he's racist, fucking loves Putin. He kept a woman capped, like, he's just fucking disgusting human beings out there,
like,
man.
Real life BoJack without the charm.
BoJack is significantally more charming than Steven Seagal, and more talented, and more cerebral.
Yeah, I heard BoJack.
You would. You're calling from an 845 area code.
Triggered. I'm triggered.
It's the second time I've triggered a woman of color in the post game. See, patrons, see what I do for you? It's edgy.
No, Michael, I really thought you were more clever than this, okay? But Mandela sees right through your charade. After all, the Republicans have been doing this for decades. You know, you bring Briahna onto your show to keep up the ruse that you're promoting diversity and progressive values, but we all know that she is merely your Ben Carson, okay?
Excuse me, I am his Michael Steele.
Real intelligent political discourse to promote your third-wave communist dictatorship. It's disgusting and a waste of your platform, Mike. You know, Mike, I'd like to chime in for a second in a rare moment of unity. And I'd like to reach across multiple aisles and agree with Mr. Mandela by quoting my wife on waste. It's like my wife always says, Michael, what good is a pizzeria basement if you cannot traffic child sex play others to fucking waste and chat squalid waste, much like your platform, Michael. Of course, voting for Jill Stein instead of my wife was not a waste, not one bit.
Oh man, that was great. Who are you? You're cracking up though. Who are you?
Sorry, man.
Who is it?
My name is Chris. My name is Chris. I'm from Rockland County. I'm like 45 minutes north of you guys up in the suburbs.
Oh, cool. Thanks, man. That's fucking hilarious. It's great. Will you call in more?
I've been listening to Majority Report for about a year and a half now. And, you know, you guys really brighten my workday in between, you know, me being a complete, total fucking masochist on Facebook and wandering into comment threads on public news articles and getting into arguments with other recharge. So, which I have a bad habit of doing.
Same.
Yeah, exactly. I can't help myself. But one thing in particular, it's a coincidence that ContraPoints brought this up when you guys were talking before, and towards the end, she started to you know, talk about ways to sort of reach across the aisle, you know, proper ways to reach people on the other side And then at the end of the majority report earlier, I guess, you and Matt sort of made a point opposite of that, saying, there are some people that you really need to say, fuck you, and, just shut them down, not talk at all. But, I mean, something happened to me earlier where a guy that I kind of know, I'm friends with him on Facebook, not much more than that, he posts some typical right-wing meme about, oh, well, it's not the guns that kill people, it's the people that kill people, some shit like that.
Right.
So I commented on it, and, I didn't say anything provocative. I didn't, mention a policy, drop a political name, nothing like that. I merely hinted. And I'm a gun owner, too. I mean, I'm a liberal gun owner. I get it. I advocate for common sense.
You're a real man. We get it, Chris. Go ahead.
My point being, this other guy comes on, and I mean, dude, without fucking warning, I mean, this guy just launches into a fucking, ridiculous Rush Limbaugh-style rant telling me to go fuck myself and liberals are destroying America, right. Blah, blah, blah. The usual spiel. Yeah. Just for merely hinting at the fact that, hey, we have a massive gun problem that no other country in the world has. Maybe we should, think about doing something about it.
Oh, look at the snowflake. He's not willing to pay the price for freedom. Yeah.
I know, I'm beginning to sound like Rachel.
Yes.
All my talk of unity
and there was a shooting in a hotel that I'll never stay at because I'm poor. And all of a sudden I'm upset and I want to take away our freedom.
I hope everyone knows that Michael learned everything that he knows from me, and don't let him fool you. Who wants to talk about tax reform?
The fact that Sam Cedar Saul Rosenberg has spread the way that I was able to tap into the collective psyche with that is beautiful. Everybody agreed. There's a lot of buy-in of Sam the Saul. Look, no, I think though, to answer your point briefly, and then I want obviously we'll get Bree's thoughts on this too, but just to clarify, I think there's just 3 quick points. Matt and I were talking about something slightly different than I think ContraPoints was talking about. We were talking more about the type of guy that you just ran into. And my opinion is that, yes, I don't think, unless it's fun for you or you're playing to a wider audience, like other people that are going to read that exchange, that guy is not going to change his position based on certainly not on some rational argument about guns. And then I think she was talking a little bit more about people that might be persuadable. But I think the third point, though, that she raised, which in some ways is just dispositional and it can apply to anything, which I really think is smart, is everybody who's involved in politics could sound superficial, but in reality, it's you got to be aware of how you're presenting. And I mean, even if we're socialists, right? How you're branding something. And just be aware that there is a broader world looking at you other than just your community. And that is, so if there is a brand that you care about human beings and social justice, so you're fucking, you're irrational and hysterical. I have been on platforms myself, and I get this a lot less, obviously, because I'm a guy, right? And so there isn't the sexism built into it. But where the host will almost pre-assume I'm going to ask you a question. I bet you're going to get upset because you're a fucking liberal. And I'm just no, I'm not. I'll take apart what you're saying because it's fucking stupid, but I'm not upset by it. You're actually much more upset than I am, right? So I think that's a separate track than persuade or not persuade. That's just a dispositional thing, which I think she's real on point about. Hey man, can I let you go because your phone is just really choppy, but we'll keep going. But please call back again, man.
Let me finish my point. Yeah.
I just can't really hear you. I mean, you can take a shot, but you're cutting in and out.
All right. Any better? I took it off speaker.
Yeah. Everybody do not call on speaker. Okay, go for it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, I was a bit long-winded on my build-up. That wasn't really my point. I mean, I agree with everything you said, but my point being, and I'm going to be a little pessimistic here, is the fact that guys like this, you know, oaf that fucking went at me on Facebook for no apparent reason, the fact that you know, one guy you might run into like that once in a while, that's not the issue.
Right.
The issue is that there are literally millions of people like him out there in the world, and they have the right to vote, and they can actually go out and do things based on the garbage that's been pumped into their brain, and they can't be persuaded otherwise. So you might meet a few, you know, rational, logical, conservative-minded people who are actually interested in having a bit of a discourse. But as far as I can tell, I mean, the overwhelming majority of them are like this guy, and they exist, and there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, you know, no one's advocating genocide except for right-wing Mandela. That's my point. I mean, all the talk about
a certain tradition.
Who
said anything about genocide?
Especially in the era of Trump, I just get more and more pessimistic every day because, you know, the majority of conservatives are like this guy, and they don't want to have any discussion. They want to protect their worldview, and fuck you, and they'll do anything to defend it, and that's it. That's the bottom line. There's no talk.
I'd say a couple things. I think that I don't think that guy is necessarily representative to the average conservative voter. I think he's probably close, but I'd also say that, like, also you're doing the right thing. I think if you're going to waste time arguing with these people, it's best to do it on like local news Facebook pages or someplace where you have an audience, because fundamentally, if you're going to accomplish anything, it's not going to be with these people. So like if you feel like fluent in these sort of arguments, it's useful to have someone like that who's going to make a bunch of dumbass points that you can easily dispatch with. But I mean, fundamentally, I think we outnumber those people, and so I wouldn't get too depressed about. I mean, they are a problem. They are maybe the biggest problem we have in the country, but I don't think they're that monolithic, really.
Yeah. So we just did our season finale on SWOT, and we took the time to interview 2 Republicans of color and a self-described hillbilly from Appalachia, from Kentucky, whose family has been...
Right, basically this guy. Yeah.
Sure. Well, no, because he's a liberal, but his family has historically been liberal, but they all switched to vote for Trump in the last election. Not the guy we interviewed, but everybody basically in his orbit. And so we were asking him... Oh,
you guys had like a Trey Crowder, like a liberal redneck.
Yeah. Yeah. So we asked him, we wanted him to be our hillbilly translator, and then also for these the black Republican and this Bangladeshi American Republican to help us also translate across on certain racial issues, and to use them as kind of like a conduit to understand what their people are thinking, right? Their people being Republicans. And the hillbilly, quote unquote hillbilly interview was really interesting because what his issue was he said that we too often characterize the majority of Republicans to be like the guy that you're fighting with on the internet. And because that guy is very loud, I do think it's easy to overgeneralize and pretend that like that's the guy. But I think more frequent than that is what this guy on our podcast was describing. And I encourage you to take a listen to that interview because he painted a very different portrait of people who, while they might express racist views, they are voting on issues that are sometimes different from race. And so this is the thing that has been bothering me since Trump was elected, was that racism isn't new. Ignorance about gun violence isn't new. None of these things are new. What? But we often win elections. Despite all these ills in the world and despite all the people like this, Democrats still sometimes win. So the issue is for me, is to figure out how to communicate and find a point that's going to make them pull the lever for the person that you want that may or may not be this particular issue. And so while I might get really pessimistic about how this person just doesn't understand gun violence or how a certain person on the internet might be, racist or something like that, I do have some optimism on whether or not I can convince them through other means, like economic justice arguments, to at least get us going in the right political direction. And that's something that bolsters me when I'm getting a little depressed about some of these more discrete issues.
I co-sign, man. Please call again, man. I gotta run because we have like about 10 other calls backed up. But will you please do call in again, man? I appreciate it.
I got you guys. I gotta practice calling in more.
Yeah, please do. And no more speakerphone. No more speakerphone. I want to go and personally go to the door and smack everybody in the face who calls in speakerphone. Unless they're patrons, of course. They can do no wrong. All right. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
He has like half your impressions down in case you ever need to miss a day, though.
That's true. The guy come and sub for me. He calls Republicans fucking morons and does a Mandela voice. The guy basically is me. You're calling from a 509 area code. Who are you? Where are you calling from?
Bro. Donnie J, bro.
Dude. This is Donald Trump Jr.,
Don
ladies
Jr.
and gentlemen. Sorry, what was that?
First of all, I'll call on speakerphone whenever I damn well please. Numero uno. Numero dos, your guest said she interviewed 2 black Republicans. I think she meant both black Republicans.
One was South Asian. Pretty sure.
Listen, bro.
Yeah.
Have you ever... I feel like you're being kind of hard on my dad. 'Cause like I've said before, he's a total alpha male, numero uno. Have you ever heard of a thing called the Holocaust?
Oh, man.
I have, actually. In fact, I'm familiar.
Yeah, well, if you think about it, Las Vegas and Puerto Rico were way better than the Holocaust. So far, 0 Holocaust. I'd say he gets literally no credit for not having any Holocaust so far. And it seems like bullshit that you and the liberals want to make everything about politics or whatever. And I'm just saying, make America great again. Thanks for taking my call.
Donald Trump Jr., everybody.
He's getting better at media.
Yeah, I know. Donald Trump Jr. has gone to some like media trainer or something. That's the most coherent I've ever seen him in a public appearance.
You just gotta let Donald Jr. be Donald Jr.,
Gotta let him
okay?
out of the pen, bro. I mean, it's not as bad as the Holocaust. In a certain sense, I'm preventing Holocaust every day. But no one will thank me for it.
By just not,
By not
being
doing
Hitler.
one.
Well, yeah, I'm not Hitler. I know that. I know I'm not Hitler. That's why I said that. I don't want to be Hitler.
Wait, not Hitler. Okay, got it.
Not Hitler.
Checks his palm.
Not Hitler. Where's my car? I wish my wife could be here. Oh, she's there. Hi.
That was so brutal.
Let me shake your That is the best part of Trump is like there's like a culture like I remember like when I was in college, like books like The Game came out and like the whole thing would be like these like arduous, exhausting, stupid strategies to basically teach like guys with social phobias how to be dicks at bars. And what's amazing about Trump is like he just does it. Like it's just effortless. Like these guys just like get ready like, oh, I get it. If I fucking tell her her shoes are stupid, then she'll give me a blowjob. And Trump's just like, I wish my wife could be. Oh, you're there. Okay. Get on the other side. He just fucking does it. He's got no like. He's just an effortlessly despicable, disgusting human being.
He doesn't even need the game.
Yeah. Why would I read it? Why would you read what you are? It's very zen in a certain sense. You're calling from a 651 area code. Who are you? Where are you calling from?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi, this is Briahna from Minnesota.
Hey, Briahna, how you doing?
I'm doing okay. So I was listening to Contra earlier and how she was talking about the types of how freedom of speech is kind of a two-way street, and it made me think about the idea of the two types of liberty, which are kind of positive and negative. That you both have a freedom from things and a freedom to do things.
Right.
And I thought that's something that's always kind of interesting, how I feel the left seems to get that, but the right, whether they want to or not, I'm not exactly sure, it might depend on the person, doesn't seem to get that. Because I know definitely for like people of color, women, LGBT people, on the internet, it's pretty hard to critique any aspect of media without being harassed.
Right, absolutely.
Anita Sarkeesian, which, feminist frequency person, her critique on video games was pretty, feminist 101, go on BuzzFeed and read this type of stuff. It wasn't anything radical by any means.
Yeah, exactly. Yep,
almost common sense.
Right.
And
right, exactly.
She was basically
I have very smart
called
listeners. Yes.
She's called a radical type of trying to abolish things for basically saying, hey, this wasn't great when
she was like, hey, do you see how
this
CGI breast that took up half of the screen in this game, that's a little objectifying. I will take my A- now. And the response was like, you fucking enjoy video games for all of us. You fucking bitch. Let's find out where she lives.
And
Muslims are taking over our country. Yes, that's literally how it played out. Yes.
Yeah, I always think that I do think it's a valid critique to talk about how the left sometimes doesn't have maybe as much minority representation as it could, but at the same time, it's completely understandable, because if a type of liberal, centristy, center-left person gets that much crap online, what about an actual Marxist feminist or something?
Yeah, what about somebody who just literally a woman is bad, is gonna face enough of that, a tremendous unending amount of that, and is Natalie, look, ContraPoints as just a transgender person, just the fucking absolutely.
Yeah,
just the deluge
I've been
of
listening
bigotry.
to Contra since she first started making videos, and before she came out as trans and stuff. And she's always gotten crap because she was a bit gender non-conforming, but it just kind of keeps escalating once people realize that.
Course.
And it's the message hasn't changed that drastically, but the way people talk about her has.
Absolutely.
It's oh, you used to be cool, now you're just another trans person whining on the internet. And it's just something that's, it is intimidating, because I know that, and it's not just me, because I tend not to really care what other people think, but I've thought about making videos, and I'm never mind, because I see what other people get. It's not even when you're a super famous content creator. There's people with I know who have maybe 3,000 subscribers, and they get doxxed and death threats and stuff.
Right.
Just for saying the most, what I would say, common sense type of shit. So it's
and that's the important point
and,
right there. That's deplatforming. That is if you're somebody who is even in that very idealized sense, your zone of passion is some type of Karl Popper open society thing, and that's sincerely what you're interested in. The notion that you would be interested in exactly what you're talking about, and maybe also some excesses on college or whatever. But the fact that these hustlers and these fucking morons like Dave Rubin build a whole massive following by basically, it's also just incredibly easy. I think if you master the two-step of telling people that what they most want to hear is actually forbidden knowledge, that's just a killer.
Mm-hmm.
It's just easy as any. It's like, hey, I have really bad news about what makes you healthy, and it's going to be really hard to accept this, but never exercise and just eat sugar all fucking day. Now, you don't want to hear that. You don't want to hear that because it's controversial, but that's how you fight diabetes and cancer. They're basically just saying the biggest threat in the world is anything that could inconvenience you as a mediocre white college student. That is the problem. Yeah. And it's very controversial to say. It's not like there isn't literally hundreds of millions of dollars of funding available for even the most fucking dumb people that will say it. If I was a Republican, if I did content like that, I would already have a Fox show. Period. In fact, we could have a Fox show together, Brie.
Oh, they'd love me.
Yeah, they would. You would be incredible. We could just I would be.
I mean,
and I'm a Democrat. Now, black women statistically are more likely to not be able to do math. I'm not racist. I'm just talking about science, right, Brie?
Well, I can confirm that with my own personal experience.
Yeah, and she's a feminist. I'm a Democrat. Next, we're going to talk about why Muslims are ruining everything. They might even be more frightening than black people. We'll be right back.
I love how telling it really is, how they always frame it as the right being attacked. Like, I know myself, I have a professor who was basically run off his campus for being a Palestinian activist.
Right. Well, that's an area where your expression of
Yeah.
ideas could actually lose you your job.
Yeah.
And that is
was like
completely
a-
distinct
what
from
he-
actual anti-Semitism, no doubt.
I saw someone
He
go after
thought it was,
Jabari about supporting
thought
BDS
it
on
was,
Facebook yesterday.
I bet. Hey, Mariana, we
Like,
have a final
okay.
kind of point because
Yeah.
we do have to run.
Yeah, I was just gonna.
Yeah.
I guess my main point was just how the Liberty really has like two aspects, and you can't address one and not address the other. That was
Totally.
basically my
No,
point.
that's a
that I
really.
just
You're
went off.
absolutely right, and that's a really important distinction, which we'll go more into. Thank you so much. Someone was attacking Jabari Brisport,
Yeah.
candidate for city council.
Yeah.
If you're in Bed-Stuy, Crown Heights, Prospect Heights, Fort Greene, vote for him.
Yeah. He had done an interview with Jill Stein.
Ooh. Still vote for him.
And as a result, a bunch of people kind of started challenging him to see if he agreed with certain things that Jill Stein supports. One guy was like, I can't believe you spoke to her. She's supports BDS. What is your position? He says, I support at least the B and D part of it. And then the guy tore into him and was like, I don't know how you could, blah, blah, blah. And Jabari was like, I respect your opinion, but this is what I believe.
It's like the lamest thing to like challenge
I
somebody
know.
for.
I
being
would
a-
say, like, I think BDS is absolutely necessary. And how could you talk to somebody so stupid?
Well, he was much more political about it. But to the caller's point, I will say that, again, to this conversation with the black Republican, one of the most frustrating things was that he, like a lot of Republicans do, characterized himself and the Republican Party as being the kind of protectors of liberty, and was completely unable to see the extent to which what he perceived as freedom was inhibiting other people's freedoms, right? He was completely unable to perceive it as a two-way street in any way. He characterized everything from gay marriage to like insurance as somehow restricting his freedoms.
Right.
And we ended up it was supposed to be a 20-minute call and went on for an hour and a half because we ended up in an hour-long conversation
Because you got into the
about gay
Republican
marriage.
stupid vortex.
Well,
they just take you. They're like fucking like just like fucking like whirlpool of stupidity.
I mean, yeah, but the thing is,
like, wait a second, but then what if I don't want to see them holding hands?
Well,
what about my freedom?
we were hoping that by talking to people
Yeah.
who were formal liberals and people of color, we could have some point of understanding and mutual identity that we could use as leverage. And I think that we did, and it ended up being an interesting conversation.
Even
as
with
a
that
result.
guy.
Even with that guy, because we were able to get him to admit in a way that I couldn't with a white person. If it were 1960 and someone told you not to get married to someone of a different race, what would you think? And he argued up and down that gay marriage and interracial marriage are completely different things. I said, fine, pretend gay people don't exist. I'm just talking about interracial marriage. And he had to concede the underlying principle, even if he wouldn't analogize it more broadly.
So that makes him even more of an asshole.
Well, yeah, but
fucking-
we got the point across.
I guess so. Yeah. So you don't support Clarence Thomas. You don't respect him. Why are black people so angry? Vladimir Putin does not.
Clarence Thomas,
does
no,
have the
not since he left
technology.
that pube on my Coke can.
He did that to you too. You
Did that to all the girls.
You would have been 9 years old at that point.
Yeah, it was awkward.
That's a little excessive.
I didn't have it yet. I didn't know what it was. It was a whole situation.
Clarence Thomas, one of the Republicans and mental illness, man. Wow. You're calling from a 617 area code. Who are you? Where are you calling from?
Hey, it's Joanna.
Hey, Joanna, what's going on?
Oh, I'm doing well. I wanted to thank Briahna for speaking about cultural appropriation.
Oh,
I'm originally from Hawaii, and I'm
Joanna.
Asian American as well. So yeah, two areas just rife with people wanting to hijack the symbols and languages and meanings of those cultures. So kind of continuing on to that. I'm sure a lot of folks may have seen Moana.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was most recently in Hawaii, I went to the a cultural animation film festival, which is basically, small creators trying to represent their cultures through visual media. And, they really rely on things like YouTube, obviously, which is a concern with, what's going on in terms of, funding or advertising.
Demonetization.
But at any rate, it was, sorry?
No, I was just saying demonetization for people. I guess that's kind of the term usually that people use. Yeah, no problem. Go ahead.
Yeah, and there, it's a great range of cultures represented. Maori culture. There's being in the Pacific, a lot of connections to Tahiti. So the actual folk tales that are based on Maui, which were the main one of the main characters in Moana.
Mm-hmm.
And my friend was actually in one of the panels, and she described him all of his great adventures were presented as Easter eggs in the Moana movie. So I thought that was kind of funny. And one of the things they also sanitize it. So the big symbol in that movie for Maui is a fish hook, but in the versions of the ancient tales, it's actually a human jawbone.
Oh, interesting.
Of his rival.
That is fascinating.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Wow.
I love this. Very those actual dark undertones to these folk tales and fairy tales.
Oh,
So,
that's really interesting. Wow.
Yeah, definitely look it up. I'll try and find the link
I want
to
to
the
make a
different. There was
human
a whole series.
jawbone one of the symbols of this show.
Well, don't make it too stylish. Disney might, copyright it.
Right,
which is one of the things he talked about
Theft
too.
from an entire culture is fine, but using some out-of-date Supreme Court decision on cultural property, that is serious, right? Right.
And I kind of adding to the kind of the economic drivers of appropriation. I think a group of Tahitian fishermen have filed a suit against Disney because they use their designs for their fishing boats for Moana.
Oh,
so I think
is there any way that you could send me an article about that? Because that's definitely something that I would cover more. That's fascinating.
Sure, I will.
Yes.
And I believe my friend is going to integrate it into her thesis. So.
Oh yeah, I would really like to hear more about that. I would definitely cover that more. That's real. That also could potentially lead to a history segment as well. That's really interesting.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. And I think, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think indigenous cultures are, so ripe for that type of, predation. And it's good to see in Australia how strong the laws are against that. So much so that it was even a story point in, I don't know if folks saw The Leftovers this past season, but you can't film the indigenous people of Australia doing their rituals. And as a result, one of the pieces at that film festival was a virtual exploration of the song lines of Australia. So, there are, I think it's in our world more connected, even though, they are trying to take away net neutrality. I think maybe it's not a coincidence that, marginalized groups are gaining power and, their own voice and representation, while, megalithic corporations are trying to wrench it away. But I just wanted to share.
I appreciate all of that. And I just think, I do want to underline that, it's worth making fun of and it's worth criticizing, maybe an obnoxious individual who is, taking symbols and appropriating whatever, that's a valid conversation. But I like the emphasis personally, the bigger story is Disney stealing that from a community. that was what I loved about your piece. Like those are like the bigger structural stories and like literal theft behind it.
Yeah.
And that makes it not BuzzFeed listicle. That makes it like another part of an ongoing process of basically like a history of like rape, pillage, and theft, essentially. The cultural corollary to all the economics of it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the call, Joanna.
Thank you.
Sure.
So the legal argument, so that I hadn't heard of that instance, but I have heard of some other instances in which people have used intellectual property frameworks to try to regain some economic control over their cultural products. So, for example, the Maasai, which is a tribe in East Africa, who
Maasai.
traditionally wear...
Love the Maasai. Love them. Great people. They do a lot. But they also steal some things from us, so it goes both ways. Maasai, it's called a budget.
Apart from the ways in which they've appropriated from Donald Trump, they
look, people want to be successful.
They traditionally wear like a red plaid cloaks,
right?
And they're very iconic. And a few years ago, I think it was Prada did a show that used all of those red plaid things, and there was a lawsuit, and there have been instances of this, and there was some. I didn't get into this in the article because it would have been like a whole another article about the kind of pros and cons of using a copyright approach to enforcing these kinds of rights. For those who are concerned, so for one, it gives some credence to the what are you trying to do, shut down kind of sharing and allusions to other people's work, and the kind of simpatico that we expect out of artistic products. If you can sue, I mean, the idea, we look at hip hop and we look at sampling, and we kind of have an expectation that you can take concepts, that you can't copyright an idea. So I think that there is a lot of utility there, but as long as it kind of follows the kind of principles of copyright law and tailors it narrowly enough that it's protecting, it's channeling sufficient kind of economic benefit, and also kind of forcing a recognition of where these things came from. Because the story is complicated as well. Those plaid fabrics came from somewhere also. Do you know what I mean?
Well, no, I think that was another point that I was trying to get to in the beginning, too, that, like, in some, like, and especially now, like, there is some truth to, like, globalization that, like, everything is a mashup.
Yeah.
So we have to start looking at, like, all right, I think there's the economics of it as a very distinct track. And then I actually do think in some ways the production and people doing it, that is where the Mick Jagger Elvis thing starts to become relevant.
Yeah.
Because we actually also just have to be like, all right, like, how is somebody doing something? What are they putting together? How are they synthesizing it? Is it an homage? Is it an imitation? Is it an insult?
Yeah.
Is it actually something different, right? Like, I think those things are, especially now, I mean, because it's just like, it's funny because a lot of that, like, the pop version of that conversation comes out of context where it's like, if you want to play that thread, then, like, lady who just wrote that, like, self-righteous listicle, like, you better not go to a yoga class.
Right.
But then at the same time, like, if you study what yoga is, like, yoga is Indian, yoga is Hindu, yoga goes back thousands of years. Yoga is also, like, modern calisthenics. And it was also influenced by, like, British colonial. Like, that's the other part of it, where it's just like, none of this stuff is strictly delineated like that,
And then the Moana example, it's like, you want Disney to be representative.
Right.
Cool.
Right.
And Disney tends, at least these days, to do a much better job than they used to of trying to incorporate the input of the people who they're representing on the screen.
Right.
But apparently it was insufficient in this instance. And, the idea that this suit would shut down Disney is absurd. I mean, this could be a simple licensing issue, and I think I'm like happy for people to be pursuing it. But I am wary of, I can already hear somebody saying, well, this is why we make all the princesses white.
Right. Sure. So I make the princesses white.
Yeah.
Black people always come to Disney. They try to lecture us, so just made the princess's wedding again.
I mean, they did screw us with Princess and the Frog.
Snow White out of those little fellas, isn't it?
Yeah, there's Snow White, but I guess it would be Snow Black.
Would watch.
I think it was Anthony, the guy who does the President Show, is pointing out that like Trump does, he does like, excuse me, he says it like a sword, and then when he wants to say it, like he like whispers at times when it's like really important, and of course for him important is like the worst thing of all of the disgusting things. It's just I guess it would be Snow Black. Like he's always, you know what he is? He's like a dumb person plus an asshole who thinks everything he says is profound, and then he gives you, but he doesn't even have the attention span to sit on it. So he has to like Snow Black, and that's why I made money in real estate. Like he doesn't even have the time to like hang on his genius. It's just like giving you jewels. You're calling from a 647 area code. Who are you? Where are you calling from?
Hello?
Hey, you're on air.
Hello?
Hey.
Oh, sorry. Hi. My name is Rio. I'm from Toronto, Canada.
Hey, how you doing?
I was just... Oh, fine, thanks. And yourself?
Good.
Yeah, sorry. I was just calling in regards to what you were earlier talking about, the NDP in the Majority Report show.
Okay, I can speak to that briefly, but there is overlap, but people are not always necessarily watching or listening to the same thing. But I'll set it for you for 10 seconds. There's a third party in Canada that has actual power. It's a real third party. It's not like Jill fucking Stein. They're called they're called the New Democratic Party. They're a social democratic party. They elected a new leader who is a Sikh. His name is Jagmeet Singh. I am very impressed by him. He's who I would vote for in Canada. Justin Trudeau is a pseudo-woke fraud, and he's actually incredibly boring and sort of like an airhead. And Jagmeet Singh is really impressive on income inequality and also talking about his own experiences with racial profiling and things like that. And I'm excited about him. Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah. If you don't mind, I just want to add a couple of things.
Sure.
We do have our own Green Party, but it's not the same Green Party as you have in the States. What unfortunately happened was there was a fight within our Conservative Party, and some of the more centrist members actually migrated over to the Conservative Party. So what we now have in the Canadian Green Party is actually economic conservatism with some environmental activism. So it's a really weird blend. And they have one seat.
They're white people who like trees. I get it.
But sorry to go back to what I was originally calling about. I'm actually calling to sort of say that I'm actually not too keen on Jagmeet Singh personally, to be honest.
Okay.
I'm glad that you're actually devoted some time to paying attention to Canadian politics, so thanks for that.
Sure.
But the problem is, I'm not sure how much time you were able to.
We
definitely
don't have much time, but you can call back again. But today we're very tight now.
Oh, sorry. So I was just going to say that to me he seems like a sort of he's not as into class-based solutions as, say, the other candidates like Geekow, for example.
Yeah, you know what it is? I can. Here's what I'll do. I'll promise to revisit it and cover it more on the show, but it's just like I know that people listening don't even know who these other people are, so it just requires a lot more setting. So I'll devote a sec. No, it's totally fine. Please call in again, and I will definitely do a slightly prolonged segment on this for this show. I promise. Okay?
All right. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Just one more thing.
Sorry. No, I feel bad about that. Okay. You're calling from a 617 area code. Who are you? Where are you calling from?
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Good morning. It's near 5 in the morning out east. How are you tonight, Michael?
I'm doing great. How are you doing? Good morning to you.
Alrighty. Okay, yeah, well, a few hours before sunrise.
Okay.
Okay, I don't know if it's like old news. Oh, I don't know. We're ahead, so nothing I say can be old, right? It's always, I'm ahead of time. About issues with like Puerto Rico, and like long-term effects on like relation. I don't know about Trump, and has he basically destroyed entirely the future of like relations between Puerto Rico and mainland USA? Like, I don't know
I don't know.
Well, I mean,
yeah, I mean, look, the relations between Puerto Rico and mainland USA are that it's basically a colony. I mean, they don't have any power. They can't like.
This is what it's about.
Yeah, what can they do?
I mean, I guess based on their own I mean, obviously they're in a bind and a limbo, but based on their own interests, like I always assumed in, the idea of like with pursuing statehood versus independence, like is this kind of a way of saying that, not basically giving up on the U.S. at this point forward, if they ever had that opportunity. They haven't been able to
have that. Well, yeah. I mean, this is one of these areas where I think the exploitation and abuse of Puerto Rico is basically like, at the very least, it's a full, like, Republicans are not going to allow Puerto Rico to be a state, period. And that is not specific
to Trump. And there's no
Trump.
Specific reason.
And there's no specific. Well, there's a very specific reason. It's all about their electoral votes, right? Yeah, exactly. That's it.
Also, 50 is a round number.
Yeah, 50's,
people really like 50.
50's a nice round number.
And anti-imperialist.
And anti-imperialism. And you don't know what budget is. Maybe if budget was as easy as hot wiring cars, you would do budget better. But I think that like. No, I mean, look, if you read Nelson Dennis's book, War Against All Puerto Ricans, which I really think, like, we're going to do a book club, and that will be a book on it. Like, the unending abuse of that country and the fact that they don't...
Country?
Well, I would consider it I do consider it a country.
All right.
I do.
Okay, yeah,
I absolutely do. And they don't, and they are not able to... take either of those moves. They're in complete limbo, and you see it in a complete disengagement of younger people in their politics there. They have austerity imposed on them from the U.S. I mean, in some ways, they're kind of analogous to Greece in the Eurozone, except they like formally don't have any political power or autonomy. It's disgusting. So, like, I guess Trump could... I mean, the one political impact of Trump and the hurricane and lack of reconstruction efforts is more people could migrate to Florida, and that could affect election outcomes. That's how it could play out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Alrighty, and I'm almost done with that thingy from the I'm supposed to write up.
I can't wait. That would be awesome. Oh, thank you. I'll look at that. And definitely can't wait to publish that.
Okay, awesome sauce.
Thanks a million.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
All right, bedtime for me.
Yeah, rest up. Bye-bye. You're calling from a 478 area code. Who are you? Where are you calling from?
Michael, you know who this is. This is your favorite mediocre white person, the chairman of the League of Extraordinarily Progressive Southern Gentlemen.
Good day, sir. How you doing?
Good evening to you, sir. Now, I got two things for you right now, something sweet and something sour, so I'm coming at you quick here. The sweet thing is I just want to let everyone know that me and the fellas, we done talked it over, and we are more than comfortable with any and all jokes appropriating our culture in any way. We are crazy, backwards ass, motherfucking bunch of people, and we really just think that message needs to be spread out more to the world, frankly. And we can't wait to get on board with that project. But I got to tell you, the sour thing is, Michael, is if you interrupt that smart young woman next to you one more time, you're going to have a problem with the chairman of the League. You understand me? You take our progressive values serious as shit, son. I'll take your apology off the air.
You are too gracious, sir. What a gentleman.
I didn't understand any of that. Anyways, Bree, did you have a thought on that?
I think that.
All right, we need to get back to
Triggered.
Third time I triggered a black girl in the fun half. Third time in the post game. Do you appreciate that, patrons? Do you have thoughts on Puerto Rico?
Not really. I mean, I did see people kind of advancing the maybe every Puerto Rico will go and move to like Utah, and they'll fix Utah for us, and the left clap back pretty quickly about how human beings aren't, political pawns to like reverse gerrymander the problems of the United States.
What the fuck is up with like liberals either do like, well, you know what? Too bad for Texas. Maybe you shouldn't have voted Republican, which is really very great way to persuade people, and also just like demonstrates a lot of great basic human compassion.
Yeah. And
then this like other weird thing where it's just like, maybe between Kamala Harris's black goddess-like abilities to be amazing and Ta-Nehisi Coates in the Atlantic and a bunch of enlightened Puerto Rican Earth mothers moving to Utah, we will never have Republicans again. Oh my God, Harry Potter meme.
Yeah, I mean, everyone knows how I feel about identity politics at this point. Read the article.
Bree is not into them. I can tell you that let's do it. He's like, what is the hammer thing? That I can tell you. That I can tell you. All right, let me from the Discord. Bree, what do we do to combat Mike Bloomberg?
Combat him in what way?
I think like basically just make sure that he's so tarnished that he's like exiled, dispatched from public life.
I don't know that I have any particular insights. I mean, he's not doing a good enough job. I mean, are there people who are really supporting him? And
yeah, there's no constituency.
I don't understand. Is he a concern? Is he a legitimate concern?
No, I think it's like he's one of these people that as long as there is a delusional media, he'll always have a platform. But amongst like any type of normal person, he's not a threat.
I feel like he's the exact opposite. He's the Canadian party that caller described. Like he's the exact opposite jumble confluence of like identity things that the public wants right now. Like nobody wants that. Nobody wants a corporate insider wealthy rich. Like I don't know who. So I didn't know I should be concerned, but if I should, I'll think about it.
I agree. I mean, I'm still into trashing him, but I basically agree with that. Question for Bree. Lisa Talman. I don't even know who this Lisa.
Is this some Twitter stuff?
No, this is from Discord.
No. But this is a Twitter thing that
Lisa
went down.
Talman-Tage?
Yeah.
Told you. Oh, Lisa Talman-Tage told you.
Told me.
To get a black friend to understand blackness.
That happens.
So that's why we're friends. Thank you. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. So how did it actually go down? This was like yesterday or day before yesterday on Twitter. This Lisa person and somebody else were engaged in a back and forth about identity politics. Like Lisa's a white woman who was telling other people. Oh yeah, was that not clear? She's super incredibly 100% like middle-aged white woman.
I'm making a race issue.
Who was basically saying to somebody else that like they were trying to out people who were secretly secretly white on Twitter, like fake black people. They were saying that there's no such thing as a fake leftist. Like these are all like Russian bots. Like all these black Twitter people were Russian bots. And I like retweeted a part of the exchange where she was opining about who was and who wasn't black, and basically saying that you could tell from their language. You could tell by how they talk. Like basically like they're like so-and-so's too articulate to be black. Like I'm paraphrasing, but it's very close to that.
I love how these white liberals, I'm sorry, they're just like, well, obviously it's a Russian bot, not even a good one. Because if it was a good Russian bot, it'd be like, yo, motherfucker, where Bernie Sanders at? You can tell that that's obviously not a black person.
Yeah, and even more than that, I think it was her that she was promoting this list, like a checklist of how to tell if someone was a bot. And one of them was like the profile picture is like too attractive. which I took as a compliment. What was that? It was like it's grainy, or like there were like 5 indicia of like how you can tell if someone's faking it.
That also works on dating apps. Like grainy photos. Don't trust that.
Don't trust grainy photos. But the problem is, all black people's photos are grainy.
It's because the Kodak lighting system was based on white people, and it screwed us over for like 35,
blame white
50,
people
60
all
years.
the time.
That's a thing. Anyway.
Kerry Washington is a 7, which is a 10 on a black scale.
So I retweeted.
Who the fuck is this?
I retweeted some part of the some screenshot of the her telling someone else how to be black. At which point she responds to me saying, "You don't understand blackness. You need to get a black friend so that you understand how to better identify what it is to be black." And then I didn't even say anything. I went to a meeting. I come back to my office, and Twitter has just descended on her, demolished her. She's blocked everyone. I don't even know. I can't even see most of the fallout. But the retweet of that immediately was thousands of likes and people. I couldn't even. It was self-evident.
Eaten fried chicken?
I did at my desk yesterday with my door closed because I was ashamed.
Oh my God.
The white partners don't need to know.
This becomes a Dave Chappelle sketch all of a sudden.
I had a rough day.
There is something so bizarre about the liberal, white psyche, in some ways with that sort of fetishization, and then also this, just that's kind of mind blowing. I can't even compute that one. The final call. You're calling from a 651 area code. Who are you? Where are you calling from?
Hello? Hold on. Let me take you off speakerphone. Yes, hello. This is the Chris Lapaco. Yes, the Chris Lapaco. How are you doing, sir?
Good. The maker of the Michael Brooks soundtrack. Thank you, brother. How are you?
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you, sir. I'm doing well. I missed the show today, so forgive me if you guys have covered this stuff. There's just a video. Oh, I want to say before I get started, when I was a kid, I was obsessed with the Maasai warriors. Okay, I love that stuff. Anyway, my dad, he goes all over the place and goes to different countries for different reasons after the natural disasters or genocides and stuff like that. Anyway, he was in Kenya for a while, and then when he was over there, I started learning about the Maasai warriors, and they were my favorite.
I actually lived there for 6 years myself.
Did you hear that?
No, I didn't hear it.
I grew up there. I lived there for 6 years. That's when I say I missed the 90s. That's where I was.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. All right.
So that's why you like Bernie Sanders. Because you were in Africa. You were in the kingdom of Zamunda with Eddie Murphy, which is where not normal black people live. If you had grown up in Queens, then you wouldn't like Bernie Sanders. Lisa McDowell didn't like Bernie Sanders, but King Jaffe Joffer did because he's not black.
Lisa McDowell. Wow, you really went for it.
But Patrice was a tricky one. Sometimes you date a Patrice, but you think she's a Lisa.
Patrice was underrated.
Patrice was pretty bad. But who doesn't want a hand job at a St. John's game? I mean, it's true. It's a great point. All right, I'm sorry, Chris. Go ahead.
Yeah, no worries.
No worries.
There was video has just surfaced of Donald Trump throwing paper towels, shooting them like a basketball into a crowd in Puerto Rico.
Yep.
He's helping.
I'm not exaggerating, dude.
Oh, that's two tampons for you. You're
he's like Bulworth or something.
I mean, I don't know. I've actually reached the point where
I'm essentially a child.
Yeah,
a big racist child with a lot of money.
I'm a big racist child. Exactly. The whole world's just an ant colony that I'm putting a magnifying glass on in my backyard. I mean, yeah.
I just don't think it can get worse, and then he just does worse things. Anyway, just go check out the video. It's pretty.
Yeah, I've seen it, but I want to say
I don't know what to call it.
It gets a bad rap here because the real issue in this scenario was that his people forgot to bring the T-shirt gun launcher, which he really was supposed to have to launch the towels.
You guys ready to party? Huh?
Isn't this a
right.
great guitar?
Boy.
I will say, like,
Why all the long faces? Let's do this. Yeah.
come on, you people are supposed to be happy. We're not
Hey, man,
rum, right? Rum.
I had Twitter beef with H.A. Goodman, who we all know, by the way, is not good, man. He put out a video where he said that gun laws are not going to change anything, and
Because of
people
W.
can
Wasserman
still
Schultz or
stab
something?
each other. They can stab each other,
He's a
and they can
secret
make
right-winger.
bombs. And
Yeah,
do all-
H.A. Goodman is totally a secret right winger.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no doubt. H.A. Goodman.
Anyway, yeah.
H.A. Goodman is like everybody. Like he's somebody that hopefully we can debunk and discredit enough quickly and never acknowledge it.
But how much do you really need to debunk a clearly insane person?
I
who has
think for
bad
our
motivations?
audience, not much.
Not at all.
I think he's garbage. I mean, he hasn't even made it into the pyramid. I think he's, he's total garbage. He's total garbage.
He's just decaying in a ditch somewhere outside the pyramid. No preservation for him. Okay,
Exactly.
Bye, everybody. I love you.
Thank you, Chris. Love you too.
Bye.
Bye. Okay, we're going to race through these IMs, and then we're out of here. Left is preferable. What has Milo done that's worthy of being invited to speak on a college campus?
Yeah, name
Nothing.
Milo's most significant piece of work, and there's not a
I
thing.
make jokes about you know what? When Milo was on Bill Maher, and Bill Maher said you're like a young Christopher Hitchens, like I'm not a Hitchens fan, but I actually was like, dude, like that is so fucking insulting to Christopher Hitchens, and like I don't like Christopher Hitchens, but the notion that you're comparing this like fucking nothing Twitter troll to a guy who like was an asshole but like had skill as a writer and a debater and was like incredibly well read, and it was just
Hitchens' badness was despite his substance, and
right.
Milo lacks any substance at all.
Milo is boring as fuck.
Yeah, Milo is the apotheosis of identity politics, because the only reason that he was a thing was because he was a gay conservative, right?
Yes,
like
absolutely.
He legitimized the party, strangely.
Log cabins, good job. You want to be a log cabin Republican with Milo?
I mean, yeah, I'm not mad at it, because I may or may not be getting my Michael Steele on soon.
Attorney Andrew, I'm sorry. The first part is funny, man, but I have to like kind of move. Send it in again. I got you. I'll get you. I'll get to the second half. Question for Bree. First, I saw on Twitter you recently won an immigration asylum case. Congratulations.
I did. Thank you so much. It was great.
Wow.
It's the only worthwhile thing I've ever done as an attorney.
Second, with the Supreme Court having already heard cases this term to discuss issues like immigration, partisan gerrymandering, and employee rights, as a practicing attorney, do you have any faith that the current court will rule in a way that disfavors conservative positions and values? And as you can tell, Attorney Andrew is also an attorney.
No.
Basically.
Like, why? Like, why would I have any faith whatsoever?
Yeah. I mean, even the ones that pretend to be nice are really not into Lisa McDowell voting.
Like, I don't, like, a lot of my friends follow SCOTUS blog. I have a couple of friends who have a Supreme Court podcast called Trump Versus. One of them clerked for Sotomayor. Like, everyone around me is constantly trying to keep me apprised of what's going on, and I am like, I don't want to know because I find it to be too depressing, to be honest. It's too depressing.
All right, not to relitigate, but was that not the reason to fucking suck it up and vote for Hillary?
I told people that was the Trump card. That was the argument that I couldn't, and I didn't try to win. I was telling people in solidly red states and solidly blue states to vote third party for funding reasons.
Yeah.
I wasn't
So I can get federally matching funds to go around the country and talk about homeopathy and how Hillary would drop a nuke.
I don't understand how you can be so hostile to the principle of a third party. Jill Stein's not going to be there next year.
Both of us had said we were going to do that and vote for Jill Stein in New York, except she annoyed us too much.
Except she kept talking.
I think that we should have it. I think that we need to have it properly out about Jill Stein. I understand that we're short on time.
We will in a couple weeks. We'll be back on. Yeah. I'm afraid of 2 disaster candidates. Hold on. Let me check my stock portfolio. Oh, doing fine. I'm afraid of them. Oh my God. All right. Eric MN. True story. Steven Seagal was choked unconscious during a martial arts event and his bowels released. Okay.
Pixar didn't happen.
I totally believe it.
Where's the video?
Yeah, no shit.
No, I believe it. I don't need video proof on that one. I'm just going to accept that one on faith. And the final IM of the post game, Scrumpy style. I'll always resent Joy Reid for sliming into Melissa Harris Perry's job with 1/10 of her academic chops and was so fucking smug about it. And she blocked me on Twitter too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joy Reid's garbage. I was never a Joy Reid fan, but I had like a period of like, whatever, fuck Joy Reid, I don't care. And I've moved thoroughly into like, nah, she's a problem. Joy Reid's garbage.
Yeah, there's a great, I think it's, I don't know if it's in a tweet or an article, but Joy Reid refers to Melissa Harris Perry as like, oh, we're friends. Like my friend Melissa, like there's no animosity there. And then Melissa Harris Perry, who was never short on shade, wrote something that was like, I know her, but I wouldn't describe us as friends.
Wow.
And it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Melissa Harris Perry pulled a real Lisa McDowell there. It was like Joanne Reid was Daryl, and Melissa Harris Perry was Lisa McDowell. She just gave him that shade.
That's
kind of works.
Sure.
Sort of works.
Sure.
Trump presenting all African American experience through the lens of coming to America. You know, he'd be a better person if that was true.
It would improve his perspective.
Yeah, he'd be a far better person. Well, we'll continue on this show. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, as always.
I can't wait to have you'll be on again like really quite soon, and we will have the Jill Stein thing out. I want to thank everybody in studio who helped. I want to thank super producer Matt Lex, super producer David Slavic, and everybody else. Patrons make this possible. I wish I could honestly thank each of you individually and personally. Appreciate you so much. More content on Patreon over the next couple of days. Sunday, CIA, Jamaica, Bob Marley, destabilization, the illicit history. That's coming. Thank you all.